Hello, everybody. I am Rainbow Red Panda, and this is my fifth comic review. Today, I am going to be reviewing the new comic that came out on Wednesday, Jupiter's Legacy. It is written by Mark Millar and illustrated by Frank Quitely. I've read this twice. I read it last night before I went to bed, and then I read it this morning whenever I woke up, just to make sure that I didn't miss anything in my somewhat tired state. And I enjoyed it. There are some parts that are kind of questionable, and I do have a lot of questions about it, but for a first issue, I feel like it tells more than three other comics' first issues. There is a lot of material in this. There are a lot of long paragraphs to read for a comic book, and I feel like really in the first 5 pages, if you look at this is the second page and the third page. And see, there's a lot of long, even the quotations and stuff are long. Everything in it is fairly long. It's a short book. I picked it up last night, okay, I'm gonna review this tomorrow. I'm gonna read it real fast before I go to bed because it's short. I mean, there's not a lot of pages in it, so it'll be fine. And then I opened it up and I'm like, there's a lot of material here. I don't know if I'm going to be able to finish it all before I pass out. So I read it, I got through it, and I did really enjoy it. There are 3 separate little stories, I feel. It starts out in 1932, which is during the Great Depression. It's in America when it's set. And it's about 2 brothers, Sheldon and Walter Sampson, and they are in the Depression. I mean, they've lost everything. They worked in the banking industry, and they've lost everything, but they're not really that concerned about it. What they want to do is, Sheldon has this vision of this island that's out in the middle of nowhere. He wants to go to this island because good things are there that are going to help with the Depression. It's going to turn the country around. He is concerned with the well-being of the country. He says this multiple times. He doesn't care about what happens with his life and how he's lost everything. He just wants to get the country back on track. So they find a sailor to take them to this mystery island that they don't even know if it actually exists. He literally saw it in a vision or a dream. And they're going to go there and they're going to get whatever it is that they have there waiting for them. And I feel really it could have ended there. They could have just had a very short first issue, spread it out, drew more pictures, had more little short quotes and thoughts, but they didn't. They kept going. That's literally the first 5 pages, I believe. And they find the island. There's the island. It's exactly how he envisioned it when he describes it. It's down here. And they find it, they get everything they look for, and then it flash forwards to present day. It goes to March 2013. And you see their children. Sheldon has 2 children. He has Chloe and Brandon, who are the people that are on the cover. And they're kind of the stereotypical, what you would expect from people, high up people that have children that want to continue in the family business, and they don't really want to. I mean, they are, but it's not what they wanted, it's not what they chose, it's what they were born into. They say this at one point. It's what they were born into, and they kind of just take it for granted. They just use the little perks of it. They're at a nightclub and doing all sorts of irresponsible things. And yeah, Chloe, she has endorsements and she does charity work and stuff, but it's all just for publicity. She doesn't care about, the actual things that she's doing. They don't go out and fight the bad guys. They leave that all up to their parents, and that's really what they want to do. I mean, they don't want to. Even Walter has a son, and whenever they go out and fight this Black Star bad guy that is in the first issue, Walter's son doesn't want any part of it. He says, I'm going to stay back here and let my parents take care of it. That is their job. I don't want to get hurt. I'll let all of these other superheroes take care of it, and I'll just come in at the end and make it look like I did something awesome. But really, I'm just going to stand here on this hill and not do anything. So at least he shows up, though. I mean, Sheldon's kids, they didn't even come. They stayed in the nightclub and did all of their little bad kid things. And that's really what their stuff is about. They're just about partying. I'm guessing in the future they're going to have to step up and take over, but it hasn't gotten to that point. The series ended with Chloe passing out on a coffee table and breaking it because of some sort of bad space heroin or something that she took. So I don't really know where their story is going to go, but I feel like they have the majority of the story to tell. It's going to be more about them than their parents. But they will eventually probably have to tell the backstory of what this island was, what they found on it, if it was a good thing or a bad thing, you know, if it's still there. There's a lot of questions about this island that the parents went to in 1932. So that's going to have to be answered. Eventually, I'm guessing the children are going to have to step up and take responsibility for what they do in the family business. But who knows? The Walter and Sheldon and Grace, they have their own thing going on. They're kind of still stuck in the old days. They are still fighting crime. They're still their superhero selves. They take on Black Star and they do an awesome job at it. But they bicker between each other. Walter and Sheldon, they're brothers. They don't really like how the world's turning out to be. They kind of feel like right now we're kind of in the same era as they were in 1932. I wasn't alive then. I don't agree with that, but that's what they see. They bicker about, what's going on with the president, how unemployment is. It's stereotypical stuff that you would hear, old people fighting about right now. I'm not a very political person, but I do hear a lot of, like my grandmother and things like that. Like, they talk politics all the time. It's all they do. They have very strong opinions one way or another. And I feel like I could give her that portion of the comic and she would enjoy it. She'd either agree with Walter or she would agree with Sheldon. And I think she would like it. She would be like, this is interesting. This is like a comic for old people. And I can see that. I enjoyed reading it. But does give something that would appeal to the older generation. I do find it interesting that they say that Black Star has leveled half of Missouri with his awesome powers, but these superheroes don't really seem to have any problem, getting him under control and getting him back to where he needs to be. And if you have supervillains that are leveling states and like causing that much chaos, I feel like the unemployment rate should be going up a little bit because people are going to have to like rebuild those areas and there's going to be a lot of things to do there. So I feel like the unemployment rate shouldn't be that big of, it shouldn't be that low or that high, but it is for whatever reason. And it kind of shows, even in the back, whenever you have Chloe and not even like the older people talking, you have like the little television in the back that has like things that are going on in the government and whatnot. You have the unemployment rate that comes up and just all kinds of other things. And so it's kind of, I feel like maybe that's going to be like a key focus here is, getting this generation aware of, what's going on. But I could be wrong. This is the first issue and I'm not sure. I'm not going to like say that it's for sure because I'm not a writer. I have nothing to do with any of this comic. I'm just going with what I'm thinking is going to happen. So it kind of just ends there. You have the old superheroes talking about, politics and whatnot, and they're also talking about how they're disappointed that their children aren't getting involved. So they are affected by the fact that their children aren't stepping up and taking the family business. They kind of understand. Grace seems to be sort of like the level-headed one that keeps the brothers from like killing each other and going at it like brothers do, and she is like, guys, this isn't what they necessarily wanted. We chose this, they didn't. Give them time, they'll come around, or we'll figure something else out. So who knows what's going to happen, but I feel like it's more of like a family problem story than it is necessarily like a superhero story. The back cover, they say, the writer of Kick-Ass and the artist of All-Star Superman join forces to create the greatest superhero epic of this generation. I don't know that I would call it that at all, but I think it will be a good series, and depending on where they go with it, I think it will be good. It wasn't spectacular. I don't think that it is going to be the best comic of the summer like it has been called, but I do think that it will be solid and that I will enjoy reading it. It will give me a perspective maybe that I haven't thought of before. I don't know, it makes you think about things, and I like that. And it also, it just, I mean, you don't really think about, you know, the older generation. And so if it goes on with that, I just think that it'll be good. So the second issue, I believe the second issue should come out next month. I could be wrong about that, but it's not going to be like Ultron where it comes out every single week. So it's not going to be something like that. The drawing in it is good and it's solid, but I do feel like Frank Quitely is kind of known for his like awesome superhero costumes, and they're not that spectacular. There's nothing that's going to stand out. He uses a lot of the same colors. It's a lot of blue and red for the older superheroes. Like, there's the pictures of like the older people now. It's just a lot of blue and red. I mean, Sheldon, who is this one, he kind of, his thing kind of reminds me of like a pastel Superman without the yellow. I mean, I don't want to blast it, but I just feel like with being being so well known for like the costumes that you give superheroes, I feel like he kind of didn't live up to that, but maybe that's what he's going for. Maybe it's kind of saying, you know, he's stuck in the old times, and so that's why his costume is so like bland. Like, maybe that's why. I mean, you haven't seen like Brandon. He's just in random clothes, and so is Chloe. So you don't know what their costumes, if they even have them, are like. So I feel like there's a lot more for the story to tell. I feel like it's already told a lot so far. I mean, it does tell a lot more than a stereotypical comic would in its first issue, and I like that. So we'll see where it goes. That's all I have for this review. Like I mentioned yesterday in my comic time, there is Dark Horse is having a 48-hour sale. They're giving out free 50 free #1 comics to celebrate their 2-year digital birthday. So if you guys are interested in that, definitely check out Dark Horse's website. And that's all I have for right now. So I will see you guys. I will try and do a video tomorrow from C2E2. I'm not promising it, but I'm going to try very hard to get one done. So if so, I'll post that tomorrow. And if not, then I will see you guys on Wednesday for the next comic time. That's all I have for today. So bye.